Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
It is Friday, so we will be having our story problem of the day. And from this picture, can anyone guess what our story problem is about?
Hmm.
Hmm. Come on, it's right there. Miss
Easter eggs?
Yes! So Sunday, like I told you in our number talk video, Sunday is Easter. And so a lot of people celebrate Easter. Some people don't, and that's okay. One of the things that people do as a celebration, a tradition for Easter is hide eggs so that other people in their family or friends can find. And in our story today, one of our teachers has put on an Easter egg hunt. So while I read the story, I want you to visualize the story in your head by making a movie. And I put an image of some beautiful Easter eggs to help you visualize and so that you know what an Easter egg looks like, because maybe you don't, and that's okay. So while I read the story, remember we do 3 reads. The first read, we visualize the story to really understand what is happening. The second read, we talk about our number set and what they represent. And then our last read, we are going to figure out what we're being asked to solve or find out. Okay. Miss Rosales loves to hide eggs all over her home for Easter. She invited Miss Yakimowicz and Miss T to hunt for eggs to go on an egg hunt in search of as many eggs as they can find. Miss Rosales hid eggs. Miss Yakimowicz found eggs. How many eggs are still left for Miss T to find? Okay. So, Miss Rosales, who is this story about?
About me hosting an egg hunt for you and Miss T.
Yes.
Hey.
So what beautiful, you said it perfectly. So we know that this story is about Miss Rosales, and she invited me and Miss T to go over to her home and search for some eggs. And let's look at the story problem now. And we're going to pick a number set. So let's look at our numbers. We have 36 and 12, 11 and 8, 95 and 23, and 57 and 43. And remember, I mixed up the number sets so that we're not used to having them in the same order, that we just have a mix so we can choose whichever number set we want to. We can either challenge ourselves or we can do something simple. So it's up to us. Miss T, can you choose the number set for us today? And I will circle it.
I think I want to do 57 and 43.
Beautiful. And I will put it in here. Miss T, can you read the story problem for us and our friends at home?
Yes, Miss Rosales loves to hide eggs all over her home for Easter. She invited Miss Akimowicz and Miss T to go on an egg hunt in search of as many eggs as they can find. Miss Rosales hid 57 eggs. Miss Akimowicz found 43 eggs. How many eggs are still left for Miss T to find?
So now I want us to think about what do these numbers represent? So we have 57 and 43. And remember, these numbers mean something in our story. It's very important to understand what the numbers are referring to so that we understand more about the story problem and we know how to solve it. So let's think for a second. 57. What does that number represent? And remember, friends at home, you can pause the video if you need some more think time. Teachers, when you have an idea of what that 57 means, just put a thumb up. Ms. Rosales, thank you for volunteering. Can you tell us, what does the 57 represent in this story?
The amount of eggs I hid throughout my home.
Beautiful. And Miss T, what does the 43 represent?
43 is the amount of eggs that Miss Akimowicz found. I guess she really hustled. That's a lot of eggs she found.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty good. Yeah.
That's
So we had 57 total eggs, right, Ms. Rosales?
Yeah.
That you hid all around your home.
Yes.
And Ms. Yakimowicz, as the overachiever that she is, she found 43 of those eggs. And just because I know that 43 is pretty close to 57. I think she got more than what Miss T is going to get, but that's just a guess. We'll see. So
you're not competitive.
I'm sure I am.
We'll go with that one then.
So now I'm going to read the story for the third time, and we're going to figure out what we're being asked to find or solve. Okay. Miss Rosales loves to hide eggs all over her home for Easter. She invited Miss Yukimowicz and Miss T to go on an egg hunt in search of as many eggs as they can find. Miss Rosales hid 57 eggs. Miss Yukimowicz, because she's amazing, found 43 eggs. How many eggs are still left for Miss T to find? So, we know there's a total of 57 eggs, and Miss Yukimowicz already found 43 eggs. So what are we being asked to do? And I know one of the key things to look at is maybe the last sentence in our problem. Miss T, can you help us? What are we being asked to do in this problem?
Yeah, I always look for the question in the problem to help me figure out what I'm trying to figure out. So it says, how many eggs are still left for Miss T, me, to find?
Mm-hmm. So that really helps us visualize what is happening in the story. So we know Miss Rosales has 57 eggs that she hid everywhere around her house. Miss Yukimowicz already found 43 of those 57. And we're trying to find out how many eggs are still left for Miss T to find. So right now, friends at home, you can pause the video to work on this problem using an efficient strategy. That means being a strategy that's correct, and that might be quick, because these are kind of large numbers. So we may want to stay away from the drawing strategy on this round, because it might take some more time. And teachers, when you're ready, it's okay if you did. That's fine. Put a thumb up. And remember, drawing strategy is direct modeling. So drawing 57 dots would be a drawing strategy. Just to remind everyone at home. All right, let's start with Miss Rosales. So I will put your strategy here. There we go. That's not the drawing strategy.
I got confused because I started to draw that thought bubble. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's drawing.
No.
Clarify for me. So
yes. Okay, so can you tell us, what did you do first, Miss Rosales?
So I knew that I hid 57 eggs in all. And then I knew also that you had already found 43. So I wanted to find out how much was left over. So I decomposed the number into 40 and 3. And that means that there's 4 sets of 10. And I'm sorry, I forgot to label. Boys and girls, it's very important to label. So I skip counted backwards in sets of 10 4 times over. So 10, 20, 30, 40. And then I bunny hopped 3 more. And so looking at my 57, I know what helps is looking at the tens value when I'm decreasing by 10 and counting backwards that way. 57, 47, 37, 27, 17. But then I can't do that for these. These have a value of 1. So then I did a thought bubble and decided to count back and show my mental math that way. So I had 17 in my head, and then there were 3 more spaces, 17, 16, 15, and 14. And so I wrote my sentence out, and then I did this shock expression. I cannot believe it. That's the small amount of eggs left over for Miss T.
For me. That's little candy for me.
I think I was being too competitive.
Oh, so now it's not overachiever, huh? Just kidding.
Maybe I should have chose a different number set.
So I love that you use two different strategies in your thinking. So first, you did the number line and you counted back by 10. So I'm going to show that by putting a 10 here, counting back by 10, jumping back because this is a subtraction problem. And then again, can you remind us, why did you decide to show your thinking on the thinking bubble from 17 on instead of jumping here?
I felt that, well, I knew that 17 minus 3 is 14, but I needed you to see how that happened in my head.
Thank you for that, because that really zoomed in on that last process. So we use the number line to skip back 10 hops. And then you showed us how you did the 1 because you decomposed that 43 into 40 and 3, and how you took away the 3 from 17. You showed us how you did that using the counting back strategy. And then I forgot to write your equation here. Can you remind us what was your equation?
I didn't have one, Miss T. Can you help me?
Yeah, let's do that together.
So I think Miss Rosales did 57 minus 43.
Yes, because she started with 57, right? So 57, and what did she do first?
Well, I guess she minus 10, minus 10, minus 10, minus 10.
So 4 groups of 10 because she decomposed 43 into 40 and 3. So 10, and then she subtracted
1, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1.
Minus 1, and it gave us a grand total of
14
eggs. And I really appreciate you writing the sentence or the answer in a complete written sentence. So thank you, Ms. Rosales. So now we have our final strategy. Ms. T will show us, what she did to solve the problem.
Okay, so I also kind of decomposed, but I used kind of like friendly numbers. And so I did 57 minus 43 equals 14. But how I did that was in the same way as Ms. Rosales. I broke it into 40 and 3. And then, but I just used kind of like my tens and ones to help me with subtracting in my head. And so first, I always like to subtract my ones first because I never know if there's enough ones or if I need to borrow later. So I always like to start with my smallest value first. And so I did 57 minus 3, which I could do in my head. I know 7 minus 3 is 4, but I drew the ones place here for you just in case. So I drew 7 ones and I crossed out 3 and I was left with 4 ones. So I knew that the 5 tens stayed the same because I didn't take away any tens. I was just taking away the ones. So my answer for that one was 54. And then I did 54 minus 40 because I only subtracted the 3. So I had the 40 left over. So that means that's 4 tens. So then I drew it again with my tens and ones. So I did 54 first. So I drew 5 tens and 4 ones, and I crossed out 4 tens because that's what 40 means, and I was left over with 1 10 and 4 ones, which gave me 14.
Beautiful. And I really appreciate for our visual learners at home, like me, that showing your strategy using those tens and ones. And I know sometimes we might not need it, but some visual learners really do need it. So it just depends on what helps you understand the concept and how you got your answer. So thank you for accommodating for us, Ms. T. And then let me show that last part, how you got 14. So you had 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then 51, 52, 53, 54, and you subtracted
4 tens.
4 tens because we are left with just our tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it gave us a total of 14. And so we have our visual representation and our number sentence. So thank you, Ms. T. It seems like we both got the same answer. So that means we did this both correctly and quickly. So let me put in our answer here, and then we can have a volunteer read our sentence, our total. Would anyone like to volunteer? Mr. Rosales, thank you for volunteering.
There are still 14 eggs for Miss T to find.
Beautiful.
I wonder if I'll find them.
I'll sit this one out and let you find the rest, Miss T. So friends at home, remember there are 3 other number sets you can choose from, or you can do the one that we did. But if you do ours, you have to choose a new strategy to visualize or represent your thinking. So I'd recommend maybe trying a different number set so that you can have your own way of showing your work. And remember, I'm going to include 2 pages so that maybe you want to challenge yourself and do a second number set. That would be a great way to practice your math, and maybe to find a new efficient strategy to use in the future. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe.